I'm Dougie Johnston. I represent both, Bakers Food and Allied Workers Union Executive Council. I'm a member of Leicester's Socialist Workers Party, and I'm a member of Leicester Stand to Racism.
My name's Sue Argyle, and I'm from Derby, SWP and Stand Up to Racism.
My name is Iason Kouvilos, and I'm from Greece.
Brian Cantrell, represent on here very much as well on a personal level, but I'm a member of any other union as possible. I am also a member of PCS, Public and Commercial Services Union, because I used to be a civil servant, so I'm still in their retired members branch.
It's a counter demonstration against Tommy Robinson. You know, if people are familiar with Mr. Robinson, you know, Mr. Robinson is basically a racist and is an opportunist who is trying to use the withdrawal from the EU for his own advantages, to push a racist, xenophobic message, you know, and promote this. So I think it's important that everybody all good people who do not wish to have this in the public discourse, who do not wish Mr. Robinson and his kind to use this to their advantage to spread a xenophobic and racist message. You know, I think it's time that we come together, and everywhere Mr. Robinson tries to organise, that we have a counter demonstration to show that we are the many, he is the few.
Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it louder, say it clearer. Refugees are welcome here. Say it louder, say it clearer. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Stephen Yaxley Lennon, Nazi sexist felon.
Well, today we're going down to make sure that the fascist Tommy Robinson isn't allowed to actually march through the streets unopposed. So, thereby normalising his, Nazi politics. So we're going down to say, no, you're not walking through our streets. These are our streets and not your streets. The vast majority of people in this country don't have any truck with your politics.
I hope that this demonstration has a lot of people, so a lot of people understand that this is a very important thing to fight for the rights of every person in this country, no matter what his color of skin is, how good he speaks English like me, what is his sexual orientation, if he's a man or a woman or anything, and in general to fight for a world of equality, for equal rights for everyone, freedom definitely, and equal opportunities for life.
Well, UKIP, they were always a borderline xenophobic party, and UKIP, under this latest leader, have become basically a racist party, a definitely Islamophobic party, blaming all ills on Muslims and targeting Muslims. And as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Batten and his ilk are just in the same league as Mr. Robinson. I think that they're trying to divide people and trying to put all the blame on certain people, and using straight out the Hitler playbook, to be honest, how Hitler targeted Jews. We're starting to see, in the 1930s, we're starting to see people like like UKIP, target Muslims.
Well, the leader of UKIP has been making common cause with Tommy Robinson over the last few months. He's appeared on numerous platforms that have been organised by racists and fascists. He's taking UKIP into a far-right position against actually two previous leaders who've just resigned, and he's given Robinson the position of personal advisor to him. So he'll be there, and I think probably it's a way, he sees it as a way of reinvigorating UKIP, which was basically finished electorally. Very dangerous, because what it does is it gives the street movement of Robinson an electoral focus through UKIP, so it combines the two. Absolutely classic fascist tendency, fascist tactic.
Myself personally, I celebrate that I actually live in Leicester, which is the most ethnically diverse city in the country. I celebrate our diversity. I celebrate that we sit alongside Muslim, Jew, Christian, atheist, agnostic, Sikh, Asian, Afro-Caribbean, Polish, Romanian. I celebrate that fact. I think it's great to celebrate the diversity of all people coming together and living together on this island. Voted for an exit, and I did this for no kind of xenophobic reasons, because I think I think freedom of movement in the EU is a good thing about the EU. The reason why I actually voted about it is because within the EU constitution, if you read, say, like the Maastricht and the Lisbon treaties, which are the basis of the EU, you have put in that place five times there is it says that the EU must be a free market capitalist system. This ingrains neoliberalism into it. So it doesn't matter what government you actually vote for in the EU, you end up with the same kind of economic policies. You can't change from that. You've only got to look, say, like how the EU acts against democracy. I mean, I agree with Tony Benn, who was one of the biggest advocates against the EU.
I voted to leave. I voted to leave because it seems to me that we've had the whole two generations growing up in the EU, and over those two generations, living standards have actually started to decline. We've got attacks on public services, people are feeling embattled, people are feeling that actually their children aren't going to have as good a life as they've had, and the only thing that those two generations have known is life in the EU. And so it's actually looking at, is there a better way of organising our society than just being involved with these people. So I voted to leave because I see the EU as just one big bosses club, as a way of our rulers actually strengthening themselves and being able to impose policies on us across Europe, not just in Britain, that are detrimental to the working class. So I voted to leave because I think we are better off outside of that bosses club. Okay, we've got our own bosses club in Britain, but at least we can take them on without interference from outside. So.
Now you're asking a person from Greece how he feels about the European Union. I'll be polite and I won't say anything bad in camera, but the thing is that being apart from the European Union, let me distinguish. It's another thing to be against Europe, another thing to be against European Union. You can be easily against Europe, it's a continent. The European Union, though, it's something that I think the bosses made back in 60s in order to promote the interests of industry and the rest. So what I saw in Greece was that they imposed a very intense austerity very rapidly, so they effectively destroyed the country. So like, it wasn't a war with fiscal means, but an economic war. So my personal view is that European Union should be dismantled, and the countries should, not only across Europe, everywhere, should organize organize in the basis of equal rights of the people, working labor rights, labor rights.
I think Brexit is a right-wing campaign. As I said before, I would like the UK to stay in the European Union. It's not an ideal organisation, but you cannot change it unless you're in it. I'm very concerned with the growth of the right wing worldwide. We see the funding that Tommy Robinson, who's heading today's right wing demonstration, we see the funding that he gets from American right wing organisations as well. We've seen the overthrow of a progressive government in Brazil, the election of Bolsonaro. You see the growth of right-wing movements in Germany. I believe the only way we can combat that is internationally, to work internationally. That means being part of the European Union, progressive movements within the European Union, working together to defeat fascism.
One last thing, being in the Euro system, Greece was so vulnerable to the European Central Bank that was tied without being able to do so, because the only thing that the Europeans had to do was to cut the money that they sent to Greece, and that was all. They could destroy everything.
It's all very well to say that people want to keep free movement by staying in the EU, but that free movement is only within the EU. Anybody coming from outside, of course, ends up in the Mediterranean or ends up in camps in Turkey or ends up actually underneath lorries trying to get across from Calais. The EU is not a friend of migrants, not a friend of refugees, and has done everything it possibly can to actually keep them out of the EU. So far from being anything progressive, I see it as totally reactionary.
it clear!